It's been quite some time, and episode 9 shook up Valorant a lot, so time for a new updated agent tier list. Some of you will agree, some of you will disagree, and a lot of creators have varying opinions as of right now. Let me make it clear though, this tier list is based off of the average player with solo/duo queue. This is not based off of 5 stacking, it is not based off of pro play, and I'm doing something very unique. After I tell you my entire tier list, give you my reasoning, show it on screen, I'm gonna hop into call with a Radiant from EU, and not just any Radiant, someone who is consistently top 50 on the leaderboard and has peaked rank number 1. I'm very happy with this tier list, and you're going to see exactly why when I speak to the Radiant. Speaking of which, this video is sponsored by tapin.gg, but more on them later. Starting from the bottom and working our way up. In D tier, I'm going to have to start off with Deadlock. Unlike ISO, who received a lot of buffs to pull him out from the bottom, Deadlock has largely still been completely untouched. And it's an opportunity to say, even everyone in my D tier list doesn't mean you can't win games with them, nor they are completely unviable. It's just that you're fighting more of an uphill battle, especially at D tier. D tier is reserved just for the absolute worst, and there's only 3 agents in here, one of which being Deadlock. With an ultimate that's not the easiest to hit and will only end up capturing one person, which then can be released, meaning it's not even a secured pick like a raised rocket, from a wall that of course is transparent, allowing you guys to just kill each other regardless, to a trap that you can just shift walk past. Deadlock's counters are simply way too high compared to the value that she can offer, and there's just too much that you can do in order to make her useless. I actually think Deadlock really not only needs a buff, but some amount of minor reworks for her to stand a chance against the other agents. Honestly, I wanted to start from D and work my way up. I wasn't going to include an F tier because I didn't think anyone was that bad, but I take it back. Deadlock can get F, and now we'll move into the D tier. Okay, but from there, we have Astra. I'll put her in D tier. Astra is capable of some crazy plays. That is just a fact. Astra has a lot of micromanaging to do, and ever since her series of nerfs way back when, she didn't ever fully recover, but I do believe she has some viable plays, and I do think pro Astra players, not just actual pros, but one-trick Astra mains, can pull off some crazy things. You have a lot of value, and you do have a lot of utilities, and you have a lot of options, and you can change things up, which can mess with a lot of people. However, with the amount of micromanaging you have to do, and the amount of teamwork that is needed in order to actually make a lot of plays very viable on Astra, it's why I rank her so low. It's easy to mess up, you have a lot to keep track of, and even after you do your part, you've played it perfectly, if you didn't communicate with your team and your team didn't communicate back with you, Astra's value completely plummets. And again, this is catered towards who? Solo/duo for the average player. So for the average player, Astra's simply not worth investing your time into, just because I believe that she falls flat in a lot of ways. The next D tier a lot of you did see coming is Harbor. Harbor is actually much more contended because a lot of people believe he's not literally that bad, and I can understand why. Because Harbor does have more plays, you don't have to rely on your team as much. He is a smoker, so blocking line of sight is quite simple. Back when Breeze was available, he was actually a valid pick on Breeze, but Breeze is no longer available, and that alone can actually hurt his viability a lot. With that being said, Harbor suffers from something else. He suffers from the fact that all other smokers are just way better than him. He's not inherently on his own useless. I actually don't consider him a throw pick at all or anything like that. Like I said, I feel everyone here is still somewhat valid. With that being said, his Cove is literally the reason he's contended a lot. His Cove alone could bring him to C, but even if it brings it to C, his Cove is only contended and argued for because of the wombo combos we are seeing in pro play. If you can mimic these wombo combos with your duo, like a Gecko planting on site and then you're blocking Wingman with Cove so you can explode on a site and everyone has, you know, they can clear site quickly, sure, that's fine, but that is way too niche for me to effectively change his ranking for a tier list that again is based on the average player. All right, but now we hit the C category. I believe everyone from here onwards, literally you can play, you can do fine. It's just about optimization, and I'm giving you my solid opinion. I think a lot of people in C are in C because they're just too niche. That is it. Let me explain. C, starting with Breach. A great Breach main will make you hate your life, but a great Breach main also knows how to communicate with his team and make setups on the fly that won't harm his own team. Breach is viable, but you have to put plenty of hours, get really good, and he's more viable as you curve up with teamwork and team play. For example, Breach on Abyss is crazy. He is super oppressive, but Breach is just also a complete troll pick if you don't know what you're doing. You will hit your team, you will flash your team, your ults won't be executed properly, you will not take fast sight or wombo combo with another ult, which is how Breach is used very often. Breach is niche because a lot of players can't start playing him and actually provide value early on. As you train, as you get better, you can eventually provide value, but because of that hard ramp up, in my opinion, that makes him niche, meaning he is in the C category. From there, we have Chamber, and you're probably already seeing a trend here. Chamber alone isn't absolutely bad, and you get someone with crazy aim, popping his ult, bam, 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 ace, what happened? He teleported away, he gets a pick, he's gone. Yes, a great Chamber player can do great things, but his niche is the fact that your aim needs to be on point for that day, and he's not a great team player. He's only got that one trip, he's got that pick and TP. You have to be extremely aware, you have to be completely ready to hit those shots, and I feel you have to be at top of your game to provide value. If you falter, you can't shift perspectives and be like, okay, I'll use my utility to set up my team, I'll change up my playstyle. Like, you can, but not nearly as much as other agents, in my opinion, putting him in the niche category. Finally, we have Sage. Yes, you can go full Grim, go with some insane walls, get some crazy off angles, and provide value by being a top frag player. Or, of course, you can use your wall to make sure to set up both defensive and attack-oriented plays, and that's fine as well. But let's say you get split, you're gonna throw that wall up mid, that's a fantastic wall. There's very few areas in Valorant where that wall is considered a great play. It's also hard for the slow to find value, and she's become more counterable as the community just got better. Like, even in gold, the wall comes up, everyone's spraying it. Even in gold, they know the ult's ready, they'll hold the body, etc. So you just have to be a really good Sage main in order to find great value, whereas other agents, again, you'll see shortly, are a tiny bit more forgiving. But I do understand where some people would argue that Sage is, let's say, B-, especially in the lower ranks, and I understand, but this is just my opinion. I just think there's better agents. Now we go up to the B tier. Okay, so the first one that might surprise you, because historically I've been kind of a hater and I kind of feel bad, is Reyna. I am putting Reyna in B tier. Some would put her S, some would put her F. Reyna is, oh man, a point of contention, and let's make it clear there's a reason why. She is overall still a solo pick. Riot said they will make her more team oriented, and I have no idea what the heck they meant, because like, her changes did nothing for the team. It makes no sense. Her blind is fine, it's easy to use, which is good. If you're feeling yourself, you're hitting your shots, it gives you access to the abilities, and the abilities that she have are great. Of course, you'll self-heal. It has been nerfed only to 50, and you've got a Dismiss, in which, in my opinion, has been buffed because you can get out of sticky situations even better. She's even better than before at pick and disappear, which I actually think is better than the heal. Then one change that people are literally overlooking is the fact that once you ult, there's no time limit until you die. That is one of the best buffs for the average player there is. Sure, the upper ranks who know exactly when to ult, maybe not as much. For you and I, it is a great buff. It means the minute you have your ult, as long as you're on a full buy, just pop it at the start of next round, you're now buffed for that round. Don't even think about it. The faster you use the ult, the faster you're farming the next one. And that is a huge point of contention. A lot of people make mistakes of just not using enough ult. Reyna, it's now just simple. Just ult at the start of the round, and now you will be shooting, dismissing at lightning speed while being invisible, allowing for much greater repositioning and getting that heal as you go. As long as you're feeling yourself, as long as you are one of those aim lab rats who are practicing their aim and are somewhat consistent at aiming, that's the big contingent. If you're inconsistent, Reyna's not the best, and because if you're not finding those kills, you're not finding value, there's not much else you can do. But if you're somewhat consistent, she's an easy B tier. As you climb the ranks, become more dominant. If you're really better than everyone else, maybe she can touch A tier, but A tier is sort of taken by another agent at the moment. We'll get to him in a second. But for now, next up, we have Phoenix. I am upgrading Phoenix. I've been kind of hard on Phoenix, but I will be honest, Phoenix is a good pick, especially for the solo players, the mid to upper ranks. I've now witnessed Immortal Phoenixes here and there, and they are all fantastic. And Phoenix has a beautiful little entry point of easy to learn, but hard to master, which is great. The flash will curve for you. You don't have to think about it nearly as much. You've got some self-sustain. The ult ult allows you to just go in, be confident, so it can help overwhelm those people who get too scared. You sort of get practicing on playing straightforward. I actually want to pick up Phoenix and play him more just because I think he's that good. Learn some lineups. You got your wall. Like, he's versatile. You can change it up per round. You can be more defensive and self-sustaining. You can use the wall, of course, to help your team entry as a team, so it helps work with your teamwork. You can play lineups. You can, like, he's versatile. He's like a great B. The only reason he's just not A is just because he's not overwhelming nor a must pick. But I do feel somewhat tempted sometimes to put him in A. It's just that he's like, again, he's just not super overpowered or some crazy thing to be up there, but he's a great pick. He is a great person to main, and I can't wait to learn him myself. Next up, we have Sova. Sova, again, easy to learn, hard to master. That's a great entry point for a lot of people. He is a fantastic initiator. It's just the fact that he can get so much information. So a lot of the mid ranks or average ranks, especially solo queue, think about it. It's hard to get onto site. A lot of people get scared getting onto site. Even, let's say you don't have a great duelist, you'll lead with a drone, you can calm. You can literally tell your duelist, go in, I'll lead with my drone, so you can be more confident on where they are on site. That's an option. Of course, helps a lot with retake. The arrow, rechargeable, fantastic, helps with entering site and retaking, which I actually think both points are things where a lot of the mid ranks, a lot of us, you and I, we will fail and have trouble getting in or out of a site, retaking, etc. And I think Sova here helps a ton. And then you have all the added benefit of, as you master him, lineups with the shock darts, clearing the corners, ulting when you find someone, etc. I think he has that great middle. He's never too hard to play, but you can learn infinite lineups, which makes the ceiling sort of infinite. Sova, solid B pick. From there, we've got Viper. Viper, I don't know. I kind of wanted to put into C, but I feel like I got influenced by other tier lists just because after her nerf, I don't even see her that often, and I never felt she was great, but I do believe that she can be very oppressive in the mid ranks when played very correctly. And I feel like I would put her as a B- or C+, and it depends on your skill level. I just believe you have to be very aware, have game knowledge, etc. And that's normal for controllers. If you're a controller main, your job sort of forces you to understand the game knowledge a lot, and if you don't, you end up putting really bad smokes that don't benefit your team. Viper has that added benefit of, while playing alone, making oppressive smokes that people are more scared to push, right? You've got the ultimate that's a little bit more straightforward and changes the round immediately. It doesn't matter. You place down that ultimate, it changes the round one way or another. That site or mid or wherever you put it is now changed. It changed the map. Either they push it or they don't, but it doesn't matter. The map has been changed. The round has been altered just with one click of the button. So I understand why people still rank her in the mid section. She's just not dominant like she used to be, which is why she's B tier. Next up, we have Skye. Oh my goodness. Skye's fall from S down to A, down to B. Now, most of you already know Skye got mega nerfed quite a while ago, and it brought her from S to A. But since then, based off of how many people have played her pick rate, her win rate, it's also continued to drop slightly, showing that those nerfs maybe have overcorrected her. I'm not sure, because B is a good section. I don't want to say overcorrected her, but I don't think those nerfs were as minor as some people made it out to seem at the start, because it has affected her stats and her play rate straight up. Like, that is just a fact. She is a solid pick. She is pretty easy to get into, not super easy, but easy to get into, hard to master, lot of options. Will find info with her wolf, will find info with her ult, can still change up the flash, not as much as before, but you can change up how you pop that flash, and you get to heal your team. So I would say she's a B+. She's just not overpowered, but she is a solid, great pick. That's my verdict on Skye. Remember I spoke about tapin.gg earlier? Well, now it's time to tell you about it. The best way to improve is to play and learn with Radiance, and here you are able to. You can duo with a Radiant, you can trio with a Radiant, or best of all, you can co-pilot, where they will quite literally watch your game and give you tips and tricks to help you improve. No matter what elo you're in, you can instantly improve by learning from the best. You simply just hit find player, and quite literally within minutes, less to be honest, you will find a Radiant to duo, trio, or get coached by. You can talk to them. It can either Discord or just generate a custom lobby code, and they will hop straight in to have a chat with you and get going. The only thing that really matters is my personal experience with Tapin. So I was able to try all their features on a personal level, and something is very important here. I snuck in and tried them without them knowing who I was. I completely used their RNG system that just finds whoever's available, and I just gave it a shot. I tried re-rolling, I tried going to different people. I found a Radiant that I wanted to play with in a custom lobby for a video. Their ping was too high. He said no problem, didn't accept the payment, and just transferred me to the next Radiant The biggest thing being that they were respectful, they were kind, I learned a lot, and it didn't matter that they didn't know who I was. I just acted like a normal customer, so I was able to vet it out for you guys. You can also get a discount by using the code on screen or the link down below, so check out tapin.gg today. And now back to the video. From there we have Fade. Fade's a similar idea, worse than Sky in my opinion, but I can't put her in C tier because you can throw that eye, you can get that info. Just make sure to learn some eye lineups. You can get them hooked up on high places on the map and then scan massive areas on site. As long as you learn that, I would say she's just a solid B. Her wolves are easy to use, they lock on. Her ult, you don't think too much about it, throw it out, try to get info on where everyone is. Again, I would say Fade does teeter on C though, just because even when you ult, you need to be working with your team a little bit here. So she's like B-, C+, not as reliable as someone like Sky. There you go. Reliable is what I'm trying to say. More things can go wrong when it comes to Fade, but I still think she's a good pick, so I wouldn't throw her lower. Like midsection is a good rank for Fade. Same with KO. KO is next, and he's a great midsection. I was gonna rank him lower, but if you think about it, easy to get into, hard to master, and he's just solid. You throw that knife, you can throw it through, like you don't have to think as much. You should be thinking and you should be learning, but it's harder to mess up KO. You can throw the knife, mess up the throw, it'll stick a wall, its radius is so large, you'll still get some info. The info is not completely accurate because it's quite a wide range, but you throw it at the start of the round, it's gonna come back to you, you don't have to think too much. Same thing with ult. Yo team, we're gonna retake, I have my ult, bam, abilities are gone. Like you don't have to, like any agent that reduces the fact of messing up, that you can mess up less, is huge. His flash got two sides, it's just a basic flashbang, learn some lineups, learn some stuff, bam. The other one's a grenade. His simplicity is what puts him in B tier. Now the opposite to simplicity is Yoru. I used to put Yoru like A every single time. I used to want to put him S, but I'm a Yoru main. To make my love of Yoru not influence this tier list, I'll explain why I put him B. I still think he can be A-, but it just scales with skill, and that's unfair because other agents scale with skill as well, and I kind of hurt their ranking based off of it, and I have to do it again. Yoru is fantastic, but you have a lot to manage and you can mess up a lot. Just the fact you can mess up a lot could bring him from S to B. Like I have to think of this logically. Even Radiants mess up a lot. You mess up the clone placement, you mess up your TP placement, you TP at the wrong time, you misclick it. Fake TPs, the fake TP is watched by someone else, meaning they know immediately it's a fake TP. You can mess up the flash because you have to literally calculate the projectile, and okay, maybe not that much, but still you can mess up the flash very easily because you have to bounce it off yourself. It's a free throw flash. His ult is probably the only thing that can be somewhat reliable, but even then, without strong game knowledge nor what's happening, you can just find no value with your ult. I've done it plenty of times and I main Yoru. So actually you can mess up so many things with Yoru that it hurts his ranking heavily, but if you practice, you get good, you make less and less mistakes, he can be quite dominant because it allows him to lurk pretty much better than any other agent, far from the map, far from his team, get a pick, come back, allows him to just, rotate. It allows, his kit just allows for a lot of oppression and map control, but to get to that point is just not easy. And that's why he's ranked B instead of like A, in my opinion. But speaking of A, let's head to the A category, starting with ISO. ISO is not completely overpowered and broken since his nerf, but still the fact you can instantly proc that shield to start with an entry still makes him strong. He is really, really good. And he is the reason that Rain is like B, because he's just kind of better in a lot of categories. And let me explain why. One, you can immediately pop the shield to pick a fight that is no longer a 50-50 fight, right? You now have a shield, meaning without thinking, you are reducing 50-50 fights. That's really great. Then you can refresh that shield after you've already won a 50-50 fight, which is great. Things not going well, work with your team, push sites with your wall. Your wall brings confidence to your team and you're able to push aggressively. Same thing with the invulnerable. It's just simple to use, right? You know where someone is, you want to peek, reduce that 50-50 fight even more, pop your shield, throw invulnerable. His simplicity but effectiveness is what makes him really dominant, and the same thing goes for your ult. Now his ult isn't the strongest. Truth be told, even after the nerfs, if he had a slightly different ult, he would be overall stronger. However, you can now pop your shield before going into ult, again reducing or reducing the 50-50 fight, making it like 70-30, especially because of how the ult is set up. But still you can fail the ult, and I would say a good ISO main, like when I was maining him for a while, will communicate with his team. I would never just ult willy-nilly. Like if it's 2 versus 2, I'm gonna isolate one, fight the other one one-on-one. If you win, get to that body. You know what I mean? You still gotta work with your team. If you're willing to work and ult only consciously, not just selfishly, then yes, he's an easy A tier. Next up, we got Killjoy. Killjoy, I don't want to say too much. She's just so unique. She has her own class that she's just consistently near the top because there is no other agent that is like Killjoy. No one's got that turret for control that will do some damage, which is strong on pistol round. No one's got those swarm grenades that you can just set up. No need to worry about lineup. You can just learn how to hide them on site. I know they get less effective in higher higher ranks, and then lineups become important, but still, she's got a lot going for her, right? You got the alarm bot. It's invisible. Doesn't matter if they're shifting or walking. It's going to catch someone. And then you've got the ult, which people just can't play against, especially in the mid rank. So she's just overall strong. She's overall viable. You can learn a lot and be a really good Killjoy main, but you can get going just by understanding her abilities, understanding some game knowledge, and shooting. Just go for it. So yeah, Killjoy is very solid. She's A tier. I don't know if she's ever going to drop without a major nerf. Next, we got Omen. I saw a couple creators put Omen low. No idea why. Omen's great. He's a smoker, but he is a solo queue god. You don't like to play smokes? Omen is still one of the best. Just learn how to produce some one ways. You can entry as Omen. You've got them blind for it. You've got the TP for it. You can even get into certain situations if you play with your team where it would seem like a one and done, but you can get a one, back up a little bit, have your team trade off of you, throw down a smoke, TP out. You've got the ult for instant rotate, picking up guns, picking up bomb. He's got a lot going for him. Omen is a solid pick. It's hard to go wrong with Omen, but you do have to be willing to really learn him. That's the only thing. But I say that across all controllers. They are more specific to it. You gotta learn him, but he's a great pick. Next, we have Gecko. I've historically put Gecko in B tier, but I am upgrading him to A tier, and that's because of his versatility. I think Gecko is amazing. I think Wingman is an amazing little bro because he just changes the game. He just changes the game regardless, and I think in the mid ranks and even lower ranks, he adds a lot of pressure. It's kind of funny. Like, you go down to throw the plant, it makes a huge difference. He just can go ahead and start diffusing, makes a huge difference. He gets killed, can be picked up. That's amazing. Same thing with the flash. You can insta flash at the start of round for info, re-pick up. The fact you can just pick up your abilities is amazing. Mosh is simple. It's just a straight up nade, and that's fine. Learn some lineups. Great use of utility. And then his ult scavenges information and can hit in an AoE range, completely suppressing people, and then can be picked up, meaning you can ult for info. If the site's empty, you can then take site and re-pick up for post plant. That is great. I think he's versatile. I think there's a lot of ways you can play him. I really want to learn Gecko myself. I became more partial to him the more I watched Gecko gameplay. So in my opinion, especially for a solo queue, he's just a solid pick. So yeah, A tier for my boy. A tier for my boy. Next, we got Jett. Jett is a solid pick, always has been, despite nerfs. You still can do a pick and dash. You can still dash onto site with your smoke. You can still elevate yourself, even if it's with one updraft. I'm not going to cover Jett too much because she really hasn't changed, continues to stay the same. A solid A tier. You pick her up, you entry, you get those frags, you can eco with that ult, buy for your team, make sure you're all full buy, etc. Jett has not changed much, and even as things around her changes, she still holds her place where she is because she's still unique in that sense. Not fully, like now Neon can contest it a little bit more with running and like Temet hopping onto site, especially with those walls, but still Jett is invulnerable during that dash, that smoke throwing it ahead of you. It is easier to do, right? It is straight up still easier than Neon to just get onto a site, so it makes her even a little bit better in that sense because she's just a little bit more consistent. So Jett is a great pick, solid A, not too much to say. Next, we got Raze. Raze, some people are putting B due to the nerfs, but the nerfs are just not enough. It doesn't matter that they're louder. It doesn't matter that you're booming through the air louder. It doesn't matter that you're not booming as far through the air. It's still far enough. I've watched the comparison videos, and sure, a little less dilly-dallying going left and right, but still, when it comes to straight up entering, when it comes to her grenade, when it comes to her boombot, when it comes to her ult, even though she's received countless nerfs, she's still A. Sure, she used to be S, and then maybe A+ at lowest, now maybe A-, so the nerfs have affected her, but I still think she's an amazing duelist regardless, and she does scale with skill, but still there's less you can mess up, so she's great. She's a great pick. No one can change my mind on that one. We got Brimstone next. Brimstone, I used to never put an A until I had a talk with an Immortal player who mains Brimstone, and now I understand. Brimstone is a really solid pick because of his simplicity, and that's why this tier list is different than my others, because I'm thinking of the difficulty of the agent more and how likely you are to mess something up. Brimstone, you get an iPad and you click where you want that smoke to go, meaning you are focused more on what's happening in the game and less about lining up a smoke. You literally click and it's off to the races. You can almost never go wrong when it comes to throwing down a stim beacon if you're going to be taking a fight with a spammable gun, or you're going to be rotating with your team. You and someone else are holding a site. You'll get to the other site together faster, which is great. That stim beacon, learn to use it. It's fantastic. And his molly is simple. His ult is simple. He is simple, but effective. And that's why he's A. After this, we got Neon. Neon's only main gripe is hard to play. Neon's been B or C for a long time. I don't know. Some people might disagree. The one less stun for a double slide and no inaccuracy while sliding is huge. Learn to abuse it. It is hard to kill a sliding Neon. It is hard to kill a high movement Neon. If you're willing to put in the time here, which I still think is easier than some other agents, you'll get an A tier Neon quickly. Like, learn to bunny hop, learn to jump around, and you'll be good to go. It's harder to mess up once you got the flow of the control because you're not going to be throwing abilities in the wrong direction other than your stun. The wall is simple. It makes a lot of confidence. You can play around with it. Her ult is great, especially on ecos. You can like full buy it, make sure your team can full buy and then pop your ult, which I really like agents who can do that. It really swings the direction of a game. And we all know one round can mean win or lose, so it can help a ton. I just think she's overall a really great pick who can just get onto site. And some certain agents, when they get buffed to the point where you can kind of W key, which happened with ISO with his shield, anything that inspires confidence, people are underestimating. You inspire confidence in the mid to high ranks, like the gold to diamonds, and it makes a big difference. People don't realize how much we mess up because we hesitate. So that's my take. Maybe you agree, disagree, but I think so. But from there, we gotta go on to the S tier. Okay, so S tier. Clove. They are definitely S tier. I used to say A, then I used to say S, but nah, they are 100% S tier. And it's simple. We got the stats to now prove it. They have the highest win rate in the game and are consistently picked. Third highest pick rate as a smoke. Riot has done something correctly. As a controller, they have the third highest pick rate, and it is clear as to why. I thought they would fall because of the self-sustain nerf, which I kind of hate. I feel like their heal just like kind of meh like now, but I could be wrong because in the heat of a battle, you get one, quickly heal, take the other. I mean, to some extent, it made it worse, but really with the movement speed buff and stuff, it just made it more snowbally and less that you can heal and then wait for the next fight, which is fair for a freaking controller. You died, you messed up. Well, if as long as you're pushing the same site, you can still smoke off spike, you can still set up your team, and you can still come back to life. Clove is stacked. Great agent to play. Next up, we have Cypher on S tier. Now, it was historically, I kind of kept putting Killjoy and Cypher both just S tier, just depends on map to map. But right now, Cypher is a little bit dominant, a little bit more used because of the current map pool. And Cypher is overall only hindered by the fact that you just need to learn to play Cypher pretty well. But still, once you learn setups, like you're not going to be messing up too much. You have the entire pre-round 2 set up. You have space and time to hold down a site. A good Cypher can hold down the site on their own. A good Cypher will continuously find value through information, which is probably the reason he's edged over Killjoy a little bit more often now. You know, you don't got that range nerf or that range where they disable, and that's huge, right? Even being able to rotate but still have the camera to know when a site's about to be re-hit and still having your trips and cages to slow it down for you to rotate back, etc. Cypher has so many cool plays. You can also play Ratty and have great little setups. You can be very dominant on Cypher. He is continuously a great pick. The ult buff was amazing with the double ping. It put a lot of value. Like, you're talking about double the ult. If you really think about it, it's double the ult compared to before, and that carried him through all the way to the top. He was already strong, and now he's even stronger. Cypher's a great pick, 100%. So yeah, it's kind of weird because right now in S tier, we only have 2 agents, which historically it's always been more filled, but I just think Valorant's somewhat more balanced. It's more fun than it was before. Things have shooken up, but not been too oppressive after they fixed Mr. fucking ISO Infinite Shield over here. So things are okay. Things are going pretty well. And now you have a list. I'll put it here. If you're happy, you can click away now. But how does this list stack up against a Radiant who has peaked #1 multiple times and Radiant over 10 acts in a row? Let us get into it. I'm going to tell him what I think and he'll agree or disagree with this list, so you get even more information for you guys who really want to optimize your gameplay. And if you want to play with Radiants, check out tapin.gg. They even have X pros on there, but let's talk to the Radiant. This is Poyen. This is the Radiant I'm going to be talking to vet my list. Poyen has hit Radiant how many times? Is it every act or?
Many acts, at least 10.
At least 10 acts, and you peaked #1, right?
Multiple times, yeah.
Astra.
I agree on that because having that micromanagement and team play on ranked is very difficult, even in high ranks and even more on the lower ranks.
The next one's a little bit more controversial. I put Harbor in D.
I agree on that too, because how often do you have that perfect team comp in ranked? Like, really?
C, the first one is Breach.
I disagree a little bit there. I think he can be ranked a little bit higher, I'm not gonna lie, because I mean, even in lower ranks, I've seen like golds and plats being able to like peak with flashes with each other, and even in higher ranks, it happens. Like you communicate and you do peak. It's not like a solo play character, if you get what I mean.
The next agent I have in C is Chamber.
Yeah, I agree. It's a go big or go home agent. If you're good, you're gonna be insane and it's S tier, and if you're bad, it's probably F tier. Like if you can't perform as an individual, being able to take early picks, then it's not really viable.
The next C agent is Sage.
I kind of agree. There's like nothing unexpected you can do with the agent, but the good part of it is that it's really easy to play and anyone in any rank can play it. It's viable everywhere.
B, I have Reyna.
I kind of disagree because I believe Reyna is more in the C category in my opinion, because when you're playing Reyna, you're taking up a duelist spot and all you have is your own dismiss and heal and the flash. But when you're, for example, playing Chamber, you have the trap that can hold like an off angle. You can hold Garage and Haven, for example, with the trap. And then you have the operator that you can crutch with the ult. But when you're playing Reyna, all the other duelists are a better option, unless you're a crazy good player that can just carry your team. If you're trying to climb from the lower ranks and you believe you're way better than the rank you are, Reyna is really good.
The next one, I always did this boy dirty, but I actually respect him a lot now. I put Phoenix in B tier.
I agree a lot. I believe he's really underrated because it's a really it's the easiest duelist out there, definitely, to play. And you can play him in Radiant, you can play him in Iron, you can play him everywhere, and you can basically play him on every map too. Even if you're not like a good mechanical player, you can still peek with your flashes and get a kill because the guy's blinded, you know? I agree with that, yeah.
Next B is Sova.
I believe Sova still stands in A because he's so strong, in my opinion. Still, even after nerfs, you can still play him on every map. And even if you're not like that good of a player, the lineups and stuff, that's just like memory, you know? Everyone can learn that. And then basically, you don't have to be especially mechanically good to help out your team with Sova. He's just so good, in my opinion.
The next one, once upon a time, used to be S, but I think the nerfs were strong enough to bring her down to B, which is Viper.
I agree, because I believe it's really hard to play Viper. I can barely do it myself. It's a couple maps you can play Viper, and the rest of them, you can't play Viper. You gotta play like Brim or Omen or Clove, you understand what I mean? Because the like wall is just pointless in those maps. So in B tier she belongs, but in like maps like Icebox, she's like really vital. You need Viper.
The next one, similar idea, used to be S. I brought her down to B. I still think she's really strong, but that would be Skye.
So this is a controversial opinion of mine. I believe Skye's an S tier. The util, like for example the flashes, you can make Skye play as a duelist even if you're a good mechanical player in any rank with the pop flashes and everything. And then you also have the ability to play as an initiator by throwing flashes for your team and dogging. And then you also have an ult that's really strong and a heal on top of that. I believe Skye is extremely strong, in my opinion. It's controversial, but in my opinion it's S, yeah.
This next one I'm a little bit more happy with, which is another initiator. I put Fade on B.
I agree. Fade is like, you can play, but there's better options, but she's not bad. It's an average agent.
I put KO in B. I
agree with that too. Same thing with Fade.
Put Yoru in B.
I do agree with you on the B tier. The agent is really, really hard to make it work, even in ranked. It's really like player dependent, like you said. If you have teammates that are not willing to make it work, then it's not gonna work. You understand me? So it's kind of RNG on your teammates.
Moved him down from S, but still amazing, maybe even A+, is ISO.
I agree with you. I could think of it that it could even be on S tier, because like the agent, it's like a mini version of Reyna, yeah? You can still play it a little bit more safe. You don't need to be as good mechanically, but you can make it pop off so much in any rank. I see people in Radiant just doing 30-40 bombs with ISO carrying their shit ass everywhere.
After that, I have Killjoy. I think she's fantastic.
Yes, she's been amazing since release. Like in release, she was super strong. They've tried to nerf her down, but it's not working because the agent is really good built. But like you said, it's map dependency. There are some maps that Cypher is way better, and there are some maps that Killjoy is way better. If you want to like one trick a Sentinel, it's like the safest pick you have.
I put Omen in A tier.
Yeah, I agree. He's a simple agent to play. If you get really good at it, you can be super good too. And he's like really flexible. You can sometimes even like entry as Omen. I've seen people do it. It's actually crazy. And you can play him over all the ranks.
So far so good. Most things we agree on. A, I put, she was S. I put her down just a little because of the nerfs, but I don't even think they're strong enough. So I'm contemplating this one. I put Raze on A.
I actually don't know about that one. B sounds more reasonable for Raze in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know because like you can double satchel and stuff, but like a jet dash and neon slide does the same thing. And like then the nade can be powerful, but it's a hard one. I'll say I'll agree with you on that one. Yeah, A works fine. Yeah.
Brimstone.
I have to disagree there because especially when we were thinking about solo and duo queue in ranked, when you're playing Brim, he's like really simple to pick up and you can do your job very easily. It's the simplest agent in the game, but you're relying on your team so much because you can't make anything happen individually. So when you're playing Brimstone, it's hard to climb because your teammates have to do so many other things for you. You can't step up and do the things that your teammates don't do if they're not good.
A, I used to put her B. I think she's A now, which is Neon.
I agree on that, but I gotta add something to that. If you want to play Neon, like you have to start training her. You have to master her. You can't just pick her up like on a ranked game and try her out because you're not gonna be able to. It's a hard agent to like start learning.
Next one, I underestimated him for a long time, and similar to Phoenix, I actually really want to learn him now. I actually put Gecko on A tier.
I agree on that. He's very flexible. You can mess up like a lot of times and you can still pick up your orb, you understand me? You can start off on attack by peeking an angle with the flash, pick it up, go peek another angle. Like you get a lot of value for what his kit offers. I agree on that. Yeah, he's an A tier.
Last A tier agent is Jet.
I mean, in my opinion, she still belongs in S tier. Not gonna lie. You can play her on literally every map. You can do so many things with her. You can play the AWP, you can entry. There's just so much to do with the agent. And in every rank, you can still play her. And on every map, you can still play her. Especially in solo duo, she's really viable. You can pick Jet, your duo can pick an initiator, and you guys just can carry the match.
The first S tier agent I put was Clove.
Yeah, I super agree with you. In every rank, she's still S tier. Like you do the jobs of two roles. You can be a controller and you can be a duelist. You can heal yourself, you can revive, and then you can smoke. You get back your smokes, short time smokes.
The last agent and the one I put in S tier is Cypher.
I agree with you. Cypher is, in my opinion, super strong. He's a hard agent to master, especially on attack. It's much easier to play Killjoy on attack than Cypher because you have to be more versatile with Cypher and you have to be more like mechanically challenged. But on defense, if you're Cypher, you can literally like play on B as Cypher and the enemies won't go B because they know Cypher's there. And then they go B, they fuck up and they say, oh, I'm not going B again. And then you can like change up your setup to do different cameras, put your camera in mid maybe for more information. Then you have like mid and B locked up.
We're able to just see in that interview how smart Radiants are, and you can play with one, learn from one using tapin.gg, link down below. Hopefully you found some value and information in this video. Let me know what you think about the list down below. Thanks for watching.